The last night she called, I almost didn't pick up. Not because I didn't want to hear her voice. It was the opposite. I was afraid of what it might sound like if I did. For almost a year, falling asleep on the phone with her had been our thing. It started as a joke. Stay until I pass out, she said once after a bad day, and somehow turned into a ritual. Every night, no matter how exhausted we were, one of us would call. Sometimes we talked for hours. Sometimes we barely said anything. Just breathing, the faint rustle of sheets, the occasional sleepy mumble. It was enough. It felt like presence. Back then, silence was comfortable. Somewhere along the way, it stopped being that. The shift wasn't dramatic. No fights, no big explosion. Just small things that didn't feel like anything at the time. She started saying she was tired more often. I have an early morning. Or, I just want to sleep tonight. I told myself it was normal. People get busy. Life happens. But it became a pattern. At first, she'd still text goodnight. Then even that turned into a late reply the next morning. I'd stare at my phone at night, waiting for it to light up, convincing myself she just hadn't gotten around to it yet. I kept it next to my pillow, screen facing up, volume slightly higher than usual. Just in case. I didn't tell her how much it bothered me. I didn't want to be that guy, the needy one, the one who makes everything heavy. So I adapted. I said, sleep well earlier. I stopped asking to call. I told myself that love wasn't measured in routines. But the truth is, I missed her in a way that felt physical. It's strange how you can feel someone slipping away before anything is actually said. Like your body notices before your mind is ready to admit it. I started replaying our old calls in my head. The way she used to laugh at nothing. The random stories she'd tell when she couldn't sleep. The way she'd say my name when she thought I had already drifted off, just to check if I was still there. Are you asleep? Not yet. Stay a little longer. I always did. The last time she said that felt like it belonged to someone else entirely. When I finally did bring it up, I tried to keep it casual. Hey, we don't really talk at night anymore, I said, half joking. I kinda miss it. There was a pause on the other end. Not long, but long enough. Yeah, I've just been really tired lately, she replied. Her voice was softer than usual, like she was choosing her words carefully. Work's been a lot. Yeah, I get that. I said quickly, too quickly. It's fine. I just thought, never mind. No, I know, she added, but there was something missing in it. Not irritation, not even distance exactly. Just absence. Like she was there, but not really with me. We changed the subject after that. Talked about something meaningless. Weather, I think. Or maybe a show she'd been watching. I don't remember the details. I just remember the feeling, like I was trying to hold on to something that was already slipping through my hands. That night, she didn't call. The next night, neither did I. And that's how it started, this quiet agreement we never actually made. Days went on. We still texted, still saw each other occasionally, still said, I love you. But it felt different, like the words had lost some weight. Like we were repeating something out of habit instead of feeling. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Then came the night I almost didn't pick up. Her name flashed on my screen around 1:17 a.m. That alone was unusual. She never called that late anymore. My heart jumped in a way I hadn't felt in weeks. For a second, I just stared at it. I thought about letting it ring out. Not out of spite, but because I didn't know if I could handle hearing her sound like a stranger again. But muscle memory won. I answered. Hey, I said. She didn't speak right away. I could hear background noise, something faint, like a TV or maybe traffic. Then finally, her voice came through. Did I wake you? No, I lied. I was up. Another pause. I couldn't sleep, she said. There was something in her tone. Not sadness exactly. Not even stress. It was something heavier, something I couldn't name yet. For a brief, stupid moment, I felt hopeful. Like maybe this was it. Maybe she missed it too. Maybe things would go back to how they were. Do you want to stay on the phone? I asked, trying to sound casual, like it didn't matter either way. She exhaled softly. Yeah, she said. I think I do. And for the first time in weeks, we stayed on the line. But it didn't feel the same. At first, I tried to pretend nothing had changed. We stayed on the call, just like we used to. I could hear her breathing, steady but not relaxed. There was tension in it, like she was holding something back even in silence. I waited for the familiar rhythm to return, the small talk, the random thoughts, the sleepy laughter that used to fill the gaps. It didn't come. So, how was your day? I asked after a while, immediately hating how formal it sounded. Fine, she said. A beat. Busy. That was it. No story, no details. Just one word, like she was checking a box. Yeah, same here, I replied. Another silence stretched between us. It wasn't the comfortable kind we used to share. This one felt like standing in a room where you're supposed to say something, but nothing fits. Remember when we used to fall asleep like this every night? I asked. She gave a quiet laugh, but it felt distant. Yeah, she said. That was a lot. A lot. That word stayed with me. Too much. I asked. No, not like that, she said quickly. We just had more time back then. I wanted to ask what changed. I didn't. We stayed on the call for a while longer. Eventually, she said she was getting sleepy. I'm gonna try to sleep, she murmured. Yeah, good night. Good night. She hung up first. I stared at my phone after the call ended, like something might still happen if I waited long enough. It didn't. That call didn't fix anything. It made things clearer in the worst way. After that night, she didn't call again. It felt like that moment had been an exception, not a return. I started noticing more. Longer gaps between replies. Shorter messages. Conversations that never went anywhere. She stopped sending random things. The little pieces of her day she used to share without thinking. It felt like she was slowly removing herself from my life, one small piece at a time. And I let her. I told myself not to push, not to be difficult. I thought if I gave her space, she'd come back on her own. Instead, the distance became normal. We saw each other one weekend after almost 2 weeks apart. That alone felt strange. We used to look for reasons to meet. Now it felt scheduled. When I opened the door, she smiled. Hey, she said. Hey. I hugged her. She hugged me back, but it was brief. We spent the evening together. TV, food, light conversation. It almost felt normal if I didn't think too much about it. But I did. She checked her phone a few times. Not constantly, just enough to notice. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, she said quickly. Just work. Later, we went to bed. I placed my phone next to the pillow without thinking. You still do that? She asked quietly. Yeah, I said. Habit. She didn't respond. We lay there in silence. At some point, she turned away from me. I'm tired, she said. Yeah. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. The bed felt colder. I reached out. She wasn't there. I sat up, confused. The room was dark. The door was slightly open. Then I heard her voice. Soft. Distant. From the living room. I got up and walked toward it, trying not to make noise. She was on the couch, back turned to me, phone to her ear. I know, she said quietly. He's here tonight. I stopped. There was a pause. Then, almost a whisper. I miss you too. Everything inside me went still. I don't remember walking back to the bedroom. One moment I was standing there, listening to words I wasn't supposed to hear, and the next I was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. My heart wasn't racing like I expected. It was worse than that. It felt slow, heavy, like it had already accepted something my mind was still trying to deny. I miss you too. The sentence kept repeating in my head, but it didn't feel real. It sounded like something from someone else's life, not mine. I tried to make sense of it. Maybe I misheard. Maybe she was talking to a friend. Maybe it wasn't what it sounded like. I went through every possible explanation, grabbing at anything that didn't completely break what I thought we had. But none of them fit. Because of the way she said it. You don't say, I miss you too, like that to just anyone. I sat there for what felt like a long time, listening to the quiet. At some point, her voice stopped. A few minutes later, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. I lay down quickly and closed my eyes. I don't know why I pretended to be asleep. Maybe I needed a few more seconds before everything became real. She got into bed carefully, like she didn't want to wake me. I felt the mattress shift, the slight distance she left between us. For a moment, I thought she might reach out, the way she used to sometimes when she thought I was already asleep. She didn't. I kept my breathing steady, even pretending. But I didn't sleep. The rest of the night stretched endlessly. Every small movement felt louder. Every thought heavier. I replayed everything. The calls, the distance, the way she had been lately. It all started connecting in ways I didn't want to see before. It wasn't sudden. It hadn't just happened. This had been building for a while. And I had noticed. I just didn't want to believe it. Morning came too quickly. She woke up before me. Or at least she pretended to. When I opened my eyes, she was already on her phone, scrolling like it was any other day. Morning, she said. Morning. I watched her for a moment, trying to find something familiar in her face. Something that would tell me I was wrong. There was nothing. Did you sleep okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Another lie. We moved through the morning like everything was normal. Coffee, small talk, routine. It was surreal how easy it was to pretend when both people agreed not to break the illusion. But the silence between us felt different now. Not empty. Full. Full of things we weren't saying. At one point, she got up to take a call in the other room. She didn't say who it was. She didn't need to. I didn't follow her this time. I just sat there, staring at my phone on the table. The same phone I used to keep next to my pillow, waiting for her. It felt stupid now. When she came back, she acted like nothing happened. Sat down across from me, picked up her coffee, avoided my eyes just slightly. That was when I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. Who was that? I asked. She looked up, just for a second. Work. It was automatic. Too quick. I nodded slowly. Okay. Another silence. I could feel it building now. That pressure in the air before something breaks. You know, I said carefully. You've been saying that a lot lately. Saying what? Work. Her expression changed, just slightly. Not guilt. Not yet. More like caution. What are you trying to say? She asked. I took a breath. I heard you last night. That did it. Everything in her face shifted. Not dramatically, not like in movies. It was quieter than that. Her shoulders tensed. Her eyes dropped for a second before coming back to me. How much did you hear? She asked. Enough. But I didn't say that. Enough, I replied. She exhaled slowly, like she had been holding it in for a long time. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I was going to tell you. I almost laughed. When she didn't answer, and that silence said more than anything else could have. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around her coffee cup like it was the only stable thing in the room. I was going to tell you, she repeated, quieter this time. I leaned back in my chair, studying her face. I was waiting for something, panic, guilt, even tears. Something that would match the weight of what had just happened. But she looked tired. Not caught. Not exposed. Just tired. When I asked again, she pressed her lips together, eyes dropping to the table. I don't know, she admitted. That answer landed harder than anything else. Because it meant there wasn't a plan. No moment where she had decided to be honest. No line she wasn't willing to cross. Just delay. How long? I asked. She hesitated. A few weeks. I let out a breath, almost a laugh, but there was nothing funny in it. A few weeks, I repeated. So all this, the distance, the call stopping, that's when it started? She didn't answer directly. It's not like that, she said instead. I shook my head slowly. Then what is it like? Another pause. I didn't plan it, she said. It just happened. That sentence. I had heard it before, in other people's stories. It always sounded weak to me, like an excuse people use when they don't want to take responsibility. Now it was sitting right in front of me. So you just accidentally started missing someone else? I asked. She flinched slightly. It's not that simple. It sounds pretty simple. Her eyes finally met mine, and there it was, something real. Frustration. You think I wanted this? She said. You think I planned to feel this way? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I think you didn't stop it. That hit. She looked away again. I tried, she said quietly. How? I pulled back. I needed space to figure things out. I let out a short breath. You didn't pull back? I said. You disappeared. That's not fair. Neither is this. The room fell silent again. I could feel something inside me shifting. Not breaking, not exploding, just settling into a kind of clarity I hadn't had before. Who is he? I asked. She hesitated longer this time. Someone from work. Of course. How long have you known him? A couple of months. And you're already at I miss you too. She closed her eyes for a second, like she didn't want to hear it out loud. It didn't start like that, she said. We just talked. At first, it was nothing. Just easy. Easy. That word felt worse than anything else. Was I not easy? I asked. She looked at me quickly. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She struggled for a moment, searching for words. With you, it mattered more, she said finally. Everything mattered more. The calls, the time, the expectations, it was a lot of pressure sometimes. I stared at her. So falling asleep on the phone with me was pressure? No, she said quickly. At first it wasn't. It was comforting. I loved it. At first, I repeated. She didn't respond. And then what? I asked. You got tired of it? Of me? It's not about being tired of you, she said, her voice tightening. It's just things changed. Because of him. She didn't deny it. That was enough. I looked down at my hands, trying to steady the anger that was finally starting to show up. Not loud, not explosive. Just there. You could have told me, I said. I know. You could have ended things before it got to this. I know. But you didn't. Silence. Why? I asked. That was the question that mattered. Not who he was. Not what they had. Why she stayed while she was already leaving. She took a long breath before answering. Because I didn't want to lose you, she said. I let that sit for a second. Then I nodded slowly. You already did. That was the first moment her expression actually broke. Not completely, but enough. And for some reason, that hurt more than everything else. She looked at me like she wanted to say something else, something that could still fix this, but there was nothing left that could. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, but because of how predictable it sounded. Like we had both stepped into roles we didn't even choose, just followed the script to the end. I believe you, I said. And I did. That didn't make it better. We sat there in silence again, but it wasn't the same kind of silence as before. This one wasn't full of unspoken questions anymore. It was full of answers I didn't want. So what now? I asked. She blinked, like she hadn't thought that far ahead. I don't know, she said. Of course she didn't. Because until this moment, she hadn't needed to decide anything. She had both. Me, still here, still steady, and whatever this new thing was, exciting and uncomplicated. Now she had to choose. And I hated that I was still waiting to see if she would choose me. I think you do, I said quietly. She shook her head. It's not that simple. It is, I replied. You just don't like either option. That landed. She looked down at her hands again, fingers tightening slightly. I care about you, she said. A lot. I didn't respond. And I don't want to just throw this away like it meant nothing. It doesn't feel like you're protecting it, I said. It feels like you already let it go. Her eyes flickered, but she didn't argue. That was the thing. She wasn't fighting for us. Not really. She was trying to soften the fall, not stop it. Are you in love with him? I asked. The question hung in the air longer than anything else had. She didn't answer right away. I don't know, she said finally. That was enough. Because if she had been sure about us, she wouldn't need time to figure out her feelings for someone else. I stood up. The movement felt heavier than it should have, like my body was catching up to something my mind had already accepted. I think you should go, I said. She looked up at me, surprised. Just like that. I let out a quiet breath. No, I said. Not just like that. It took a while to get here. She didn't move right away. Can we talk about this more? She asked. What's left to talk about? I don't want this to end like this. I looked at her for a long moment. How else does it end? I asked. She didn't have an answer. Because there wasn't one. There was no version of this where it didn't end like this. No version where I could unknow what I heard. Or she could undo what she'd already started. Slowly, she stood up. For a second, it looked like she might come closer, maybe try to hug me, like that could still mean something. She didn't. Instead, she grabbed her bag. I'm sorry, she said again. I nodded. I know. She walked to the door, then paused with her hand on the handle. I did love you, she said, not turning around. The past tense didn't even surprise me. I know, I said. A small, quiet click, and she was gone. I stood there for a long time after the door closed, staring at nothing. It didn't feel real yet. The apartment was too quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet we used to have on the phone. This was something else entirely. Something empty. I walked back to the bedroom slowly, like I was moving through a place that didn't belong to me anymore. The bed was still unmade. Her side slightly indented. My phone was still on the pillow. I picked it up and held it in my hand, turning it over like it was something unfamiliar. For months, I kept it there every night. Waiting. Hoping. Believing that something would come back if I just gave it enough time. I placed it on the nightstand instead. Not next to the pillow. Not anymore. That night, I didn't wait for a call. The first night without her felt different in a way I wasn't prepared for. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Just quiet. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my phone on the nightstand instead of next to my pillow. That small change felt bigger than anything else. Like moving it had drawn a line I couldn't step back over. For a while, I kept glancing at it. Not expecting it to light up, just checking. Out of habit. Reflex. Nothing. No missed calls. No messages. No, are you awake? Like she used to send sometimes. Even before everything started falling apart. Just a blank screen. I told myself it was over. That I had accepted it. that I wasn't going to sit there hoping for something that wasn't coming back. But acceptance isn't a switch. It's slower than that. Because sometime around 2 a.m., I reached for my phone without thinking, unlocked it, opened our chat, and just stared at it. The last message was from her earlier that morning. "I'm sorry." That was it. No explanation. No follow-up. Just 2 words that didn't fix anything. I didn't reply. I wanted to. A part of me still wanted to say something, to ask questions, to understand more, to somehow make it all make sense. But another part of me knew there wasn't anything left to understand. So I locked the screen and put the phone back down. Sleep didn't come easily. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind went back to the same moments. Her voice in the living room. The way she said, "I miss you too." The way she stood at the door before leaving. And the part that hurt the most. How normal it had all felt to her. Like she had already started moving on long before I even realized we were breaking. The next few days blurred together. Work, home, repeat. I kept myself busy on purpose. Filled every hour with something. Tasks, errands, anything that didn't leave too much space to think. It helped. A little. But the nights were harder. Because that's when the silence came back. And this time, there was nothing to distract me from it. I started noticing how many things reminded me of her. Songs I couldn't listen to anymore. Places I avoided without even realizing it. Even small things, like the way my phone felt in my hand at night. That one was the worst. Because no matter how many times I told myself I wouldn't, I kept checking it before going to sleep. Just in case. Not because I thought she would call, but because a part of me still hoped she might. It took me a few nights to realize something uncomfortable. I didn't just miss her. I missed the version of us that existed before things started changing. The late-night calls. The effortless conversations. The feeling that someone was always there, even in silence. That was the part one kept reaching for. And it wasn't coming back. About a week later, I finally got a message from her. It came in the middle of the day. "Can we talk?" I stared at it longer than I should have. I had imagined this moment so many times. What I would say, how I would respond, whether I would even answer at all. Now that it was actually happening, I felt nothing. Or maybe not nothing. Just tired. I typed a response. "What about?" She replied almost immediately. "I just want to explain. Things ended with him." I paused. That wasn't what I expected. Not exactly. There was a time when reading that would have given me hope. Would have made me think maybe this wasn't over after all. Now it just felt complicated. I stared at the message again. Things ended with him. The wording mattered. Not, "I made a mistake." Not, "I want to fix things with you." Just that. Like I was the next step after something else didn't work out. I put the phone down without replying. For the rest of the day, I kept thinking about it. About what she wanted. About what I wanted. And for the first time in a while, the answer wasn't automatic. That night, I lay in bed again, staring at the ceiling. My phone stayed on the nightstand. The message still unread in my mind, even though I had seen it 100 times already. "Can we talk?" I closed my eyes. And for the first time since everything ended, I didn't reach for my phone. I didn't reply that night. Or the next morning. Not because I was trying to punish her. Not because I wanted to make her wait the way I had waited so many nights before. I just didn't know what I would say that wouldn't pull me back into something I had barely managed to step out of. Her message sat there, unchanged. "Can we talk?" Simple. Open-ended. Dangerous. I went through my day like usual, but it followed me everywhere. In between tasks, during quiet moments, even in conversations with other people, part of my mind kept drifting back to it. What would she say? What would I say? Would it make anything better? Or just reopen everything that had just started to close? By the second day, she sent another message. "I understand if you don't want to. I owe you an explanation." I read it. Locked my phone. Didn't answer. There was a time when I would have dropped everything for her. When a single message from her could shift my entire mood, my entire day. Now it felt different. Not easy, but different. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my hand, staring at our conversation again. I scrolled up for the first time since everything ended. Old messages. Old versions of us. Jokes that didn't make sense anymore. Random thoughts she used to send me at 2 a.m. Photos of things she thought I'd like. Voice notes where she sounded half asleep, telling me something she didn't want to forget. And then the calls. Missed calls from me. Fewer and fewer from her. Until there were none. It wasn't one moment that broke us. It was a pattern. Something that changed slowly enough for me to keep denying it. I stopped scrolling. Locked my phone. Set it down. For a long time, I just sat there, thinking about everything that had happened. Not just the ending, but the whole thing. What it was, what it became, what I kept holding on to even after it stopped being real. Because that was the truth I had been avoiding. I wasn't in love with who she was anymore. I was in love with who she used to be. With the girl who stayed on the phone until she fell asleep. Who whispered my name to check if I was still there. Who made silence feel like something warm instead of something empty. That version of her was gone. And maybe it had been gone for a while. I just kept my phone next to my pillow, hoping she'd come back. She didn't. The next morning, I finally replied. Not a long message. Not something emotional or complicated. Just, I don't think there's anything left to explain. I stared at it for a second before sending. Then I put my phone down and didn't pick it up again. A few minutes later, it buzzed. I didn't check it right away. I made coffee, opened the window, let cold air into the room. When I finally looked, her reply was short. I understand. That was it. No argument. No pushing. No attempt to change my mind. Just acceptance. It felt fitting. I put my phone down again, this time without hesitation. That night, when I went to bed, I didn't think about where my phone was. I didn't check it before closing my eyes. I didn't wait. The silence was still there, but it didn't feel loud anymore. Just quiet. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like something was missing.